Hey everybody, Genesis Jones here with Total G Shockers, and in this video we'll be going through the top 5 analog solar watches in the market today. Now if you're looking to find a watch that can offer you a ton of great features without the inconvenience of having to worry about the battery life, then a solar watch is definitely going to be one of the best choices for you. So let's jump into the topic. Cue that intro. Now, when it comes to choosing the best solar watch for you, here are some things to consider. First, make sure the quality of the watch you buy is of the highest quality. If you decide to go with a cheaper watch, it's going to break more often and you'll have to replace it, which will end up costing you just as much as how much you would have spent on a great quality watch in the beginning. Now, it's also a great place to mention a blurb on the value of a watch. You want to make sure that you are getting a good value for your money and you aren't spending more money than you either want to or feel comfortable with, and you happen to get a bad watch in return. The main goal when you buy a watch is to be left satisfied with what you got. And it's for this reason that most of the watches that we recommend in this list are going to be some of the best choices that you'll find when it comes to both the value and price of the watch. Next, I know that at times it may seem tempting to find a watch that's lower priced than some of the other name brands, but I highly recommend that you don't do that. Just stick with the better and more well-known brands until the newer watch brands have proven that they belong in the watch world in some way or another. Some of the particular brand names that have become synonymous with the solar power feature when it comes to watches include Seiko, Citizen, and Casio. I mean, these are 3 of the best watch brands you'll find, and of course we've included them somewhere in our list. And finally, even though this should go without saying, I'll just say it anyway. It's extremely important that you find a watch that is reliable for you to count on day in and day out. In a lot of ways, this is related to the quality, value, and name brand recognition. So if you stick with a high quality watch made by a great brand, you'll have no problem finding a reliable watch. So now that we got through the list of recommendations for choosing a solar watch, let's go ahead and jump into the list right now. So here are the top 5 analog solar watches that we recommend. Number 5, Orient WV0051TX Neo 70s. Now, most people may not be familiar with the Orient Neo 70s line, but basically it's designed to evoke notable watch characteristics from the 70s. These retro-thinking designs feature a single eye-catching feature to them. Now, the Orient WV0051TX is comfortable, coming in a rather tasteful 42mm case diameter, making it a great wrist watch without being overbearing. The curvature of the lugs help to keep the case snug against your arm. The case sides feature a very high modern polish, adding a pleasing contrast to the vintage-inspired brush lugs. The bezel features a modern polish similar to the case sides, and its profile is quite interesting. Instead of being flush against the case, the bezel has a slight lip that bevels down and inwards at the outer perimeter of its diameter, adding a visual boost to the case, which I really like. Now the dial is the best part of the watch, in my humble opinion. This was the eye-catching, aesthetically pleasing feature that I mentioned earlier. First, we have the color. It's a deep turquoise/teal hue with the edges toward the 3 and 9 o'clock markers revealing more of a gradient transition to black. Also, I like the pinstripe texture on the dial, and these pinstripes actually have a bit of a stagger in them, which creates a pretty cool effect that makes it seem appropriate to pair with more casual wear if you so choose. Now, the bracelet is subpar. Aesthetically, it looks great, but the feeling of it is lacking. The end links are hollow, and the 3-fold clasp is stamped and feels very flimsy. The H-link style links also feature a lot of gapping, and the overall feel isn't very tight in my opinion. 3 subdials complement the face. We have the 24-hour subdial, the 60-minute chronograph subdial, and a continuous seconds subdial. Also, it's through these subdials where the sunlight is absorbed to power the movement. And in terms of function, the movement is really great. When activated, the chronograph hand sweeps quite smoothly for a quartz piece like this, and it resets just fine. With this watch, expect about 6 months worth of solar charge before the next full charge. Now the weight of the watch is 129 grams, the diameter of the watch is 42 millimeters, and the retail price is $220 in US currency. Now, is the Orient Neo 70s WV0051TX for you? For most, this watch will hit a few key criteria that are important. Striking but subtle aesthetics, check. Reliable movement, check. Great price, check. But most important of all is the fact that this timepiece is just so fun to wear. The weight is perfect, and you can even dress it up or dress it down depending on the event. Number 4, Seiko SSC 017 Prospex. Now I love the design of this watch. You can rock it during a cool and sporty event, or you can wear it on an elegant night out depending on your apparel. And even though it's not meant to be a dress watch, you can choose to wear it in the office with the dress shirt. The case isn't that thick, just 14 millimeters, so the Seiko can fit well under your cuff. Now this SSC 017 has a sloped bezel to reduce the overall case thickness as well as make it look more elegant. I just love that it is a versatile timepiece with a balanced look. Now one of the things I don't like is the stainless steel bracelet, even though it's not on par with the extremely well-made case. I mean, it's not ugly, but it's merely there to wrap around your wrist. Also, the buttons are a little hard to push. Another thing I don't like is the painted bezel. And what this means for you is that you should just be careful when wearing the watch or putting it on some hard surface, or else you would risk scratching the bezel, which is kind of a bummer. Now when it comes to water resistance, Seiko is a prestigious brand, so when it says 200 meters, it's probably enough for most swimmers and scuba divers. And most users have rarely talked about the watch's malfunction underwater to this day. To make this watch more irresistible, Seiko also added the chronograph feature not only for counting time, but also for making the piece look even cooler and sportier with 2 guarded push buttons and 3 subdials. And when it comes to the lume, Seiko has the best lume compared to other counterparts. Seiko's LumiBright technology offers you an exceptional reading experience in low light conditions. This lume is not only bright, but also lasts up to 5 hours after a 10-minute charge, which is pretty impressive. It features the V175 solar powered quartz caliper, and the solar battery can store up energy enough for 6 months of continuous use. Now the weight of the watch is about 185 grams, the diameter of the watch is 44 millimeters, and the retail price begins at $199 in US currency. Now, is the Seiko SSC 017 for you? To wrap this up, if you want a versatile, fully featured dive watch, which can also serve as an elegant fashion item, then the Seiko SSC 017 Prospex is an all-in-one option for you. It's an eye-catching design that has a chronograph feature, bright and long-lasting lume, 200-meter water resistance, and a solar battery that doesn't need replacement. Now, before we get into the top 3 on our list, let's first go to our honorable mention. So for the honorable mention, we have the Bering time 14640-222. Now, this slim solar Bering time watch comes with some of the more unique and modern features to help give you a fantastic and sleek look. Now, Bering watches focus mainly on the use of premium materials like surgical stainless steel, titanium, and ceramic to incorporate in their watch designs, which allows them to produce a variety of stunning timepieces. I love that Bering also makes use of the sapphire crystal glass, which, as you know, is especially robust, crystal clear, and scratch proof, that are found as an elegant highlight on many watches. And instead of using some of the more traditional materials when it comes to most watches you have seen so far, this watch incorporates both ceramic and stainless steel to make up the body of the watch, while the straps are made in either mesh or calfskin. Now, this watch relies solely on solar power and solar movement in order for it to operate, so it's important to make sure that the watch is going to be exposed to enough sun throughout the time you wear it. Not only sunlight, but any kind of light is converted into electrical energy by the solar cell under the face and stored in a rechargeable secondary battery. Once fully charged, it runs for 6 to 12 months. Now, the weight of the watch is 99 grams, the diameter of the watch is 40 millimeters, and the retail price is $239 in US currency. Now, is the Bering time 14640-222 for you? Well, if you want something more modern looking, then this is going to be one of the best watches for you. Bering is able to blend minimalist Danish design with the optimal choice of materials in a unique way, offering a beautifully designed timepiece that is built with quality parts and offer excellent value for the money. Now let's get back to the top 3 analog watches on this list. Number 3, Casio G-Shock G-Steel GST B100 TFB-1A. Now the G-Shock G-Steel series has been known as sturdy shock-resistant watches with a force-absorbing resin body. When it comes to a tough metal timepiece, sometimes they do miss something compared to traditional metal watches. For some people, they want a sharper watch. For others, they want more of a metal look like the flares from the metal surface. And for others still, they want the heavyweight, cold feeling when you touch the metal watch with your fingers. It's an extremely rugged solar watch. And because Casio knows that you want a metal watch that looks and feels like a metal watch, the G-Steel is a hybrid between resin and metal watches. This watch was designed as a multi-layer watch with a thick shock-absorbing resin layer that's between the case back and the upper body in order to reduce the external forces put on the hard metal surfaces. The overall look of this G-Steel is very sharp, which is what I like most about it. The push buttons and the guards are rather small compared to the case, which makes it look more elegant and simple than other watches with the same size, and the dial is the only focal point when you look at the watch. The main dial looks clean and organized, even when it has lots of details. The gold tone contrasts well with the black background, giving the watch a cool and eye-catching appearance that even people from far away will be able to spot it on your wrist. The display with the 3 sub-dials is another trait that's worth noting. The dial at the 9 o'clock has a multifunctional rotating disc that is cut to resemble that of the thick blades of a jet engine. And I also love how G-Shock made the hour markers and bordered the day sub-dial with metal. This style, combined with the brushed stainless steel case, makes you really feel the sharpness from the inside out, which is definitely a plus. What I usually don't like about G-Steel series is the text-filled bezel. But with this particular watch, I love that the writing is there, but it doesn't stand out as much because the writing is the same color as the color of the bezel, and the distinctive patterned carbon bezel has a tough and stylish look to it. Now, what most people like about this watch is its clean, dressable style, which they can't get from extremely sporty looking traditional G-Shocks, like the digital analog series or the world famous Master of G series. But all in all, it fits well with any apparel. And when it comes to functions, this watch doesn't have sophisticated features like the Rangeman or the Casio ProTrack, right? There's no sunrise, sunset, GPS, moontide. It just has the countdown timer that counts down from 24 hours, the stopwatch that measures up to 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds, dual time, 200 meters of water resistance, and wireless linking using Bluetooth, and a few more essential features for a standard analog watch. Now the lume on the 2 hands is not that bad, and the double LED light is great. You can read the whole face and 3 sub-dials easily with it. Now the solar battery can provide enough power for about 5 months of normal use and 24 months in power saving mode after a full charge, which is quite impressive. Now the weight of the watch is 101 grams, the diameter of the watch is 54 millimeters, and the retail price is $750 in US currency. Now is the G-Shock GST B100 TFB-1A, aka the Gold Tornado, for you? Well, the Casio G-Shock Gold Tornado is a hybrid watch in terms of material. We're talking resin and stainless steel and the analog display. Now, if you want a shock-resistant watch with dressable style, it's the perfect choice. The look is sharp with a gold tone, which makes it stand out from other watches. Now just to note, this watch is not designed for my small wrist people. Mentioned earlier, the watch is not only 54 millimeters in diameter, but it's also 14 millimeters thick as well. And you guys know that when it comes to G-Shock, having a big face watch is for the most part standard now. Number 2, Citizen NightHawk. Now the Citizen NightHawk is a modern style pilot watch with a very busy dial, crowded with so many numbers, scales, arcs, and with hands that indicates different information. So for those who are pilots, the Citizen NightHawk is a reliable tool and a watch that's worth checking out. For other people, it's a cool and rugged watch which exudes excellent craftsmanship from Citizen, which is one of the largest watchmakers in the world. Now what I like most about this watch is that it has a very sharp body from the lugs to the case to the crowns. The brushed silver finish also adds much to the coolness of this watch, and it fits in very well with the black tone of the dial. Now when talking about the lugs, they are too close to the body, and this design makes it difficult to replace the metal band with another thick leather strap, for example. So with these lugs, you're left with limited options with a decent looking band that complements the NightHawk. And speaking of the band, the metal bracelet is something I don't like much in my opinion. It's just there so that you can secure it around your wrist. But back to the watch features, notice that there's an additional knob crown at 8 o'clock for turning the internal bezel, which is an integral part of modern aviation watches. And besides being an exceptional pilot watch, the NightHawk is also suitable for those who often travel because it has the GMT function so that you can track time at 2 separate locations through the dial. The water resistance is up to 200 meters, so you can wear it anywhere you want. And that includes water sport adventures. The lume on the NightHawk is absolutely top class. The icy blue provides you easy reading in the dark, which can last for hours. And the Eco Drive movement beating inside the NightHawk is solar-powered quartz. Whether the light source is natural or artificial, the panel on the watch is able to absorb it and convert it into energy and store up for months. And you won't ever get near the empty point despite the fact that Citizen provides you with a power saver function. Now the weight of the watch is 141 grams. The diameter of the watch is 42 millimeters. And the retail price is $199 in US currency. Now, is the Citizen NightHawk for you? Well, if you're a minimalist, the NightHawk style is not for you. But if you love a watch that has lots of details on the face, then the NightHawk is a perfect choice for you simply because even though the watch may look super busy, crowded, and messy, all the details on the dial are actually very well organized. And the aesthetic number-full dial is not only eye-catching, but also very intriguing, especially to non-watch people. I mean, this watch is sure to draw attention. And number 1, Seiko Astron GPS Solar. Now the Seiko Astron is a watch that sees further than its peers, being the namesake that launched the quartz watch revolution in 1969, and also being quite arguably the most important watch of the 20th century. The Astron GPS Solar is made with impeccable quality. The dial work is nothing short of amazing, having an extremely deep, somewhat multi-layered look to it. It features prominent subdials, each on polished steel that is raised above the dial for easy readability. It comes in a robust PVD coated case, giving you all types of business look energy. The lugs are short and slick, often giving you the appearance of an integrated strap or bracelet when it comes to this watch. The case features push buttons and a screwed down crown. What I like most about the Astron GPS Solar is its unique ability not only to perfectly sync its time wirelessly, but also be able to figure out and adjust for time zones as well. This makes it a dream for world travelers and just does something that no other contemporary watch can claim to do. And that's provide the actual usefulness of a wristwatch. Now there are a few caveats though. First, although this watch is easy to operate, it's not something that you'll figure out just by looking at it, unless you're like a watch savant or something. The second thing is that the daylight savings time is not automatically adjusted for. You'll have to complete a simple 2-button press in order for the DST to be adjusted, but this is outlined in the manual. The lume is absolutely amazing. It glows bright with no charge, and it's still easily readable 6 hours later in the dark. Now the watch is also solar powered, of course, with a 6-month power reserve in normal operation mode and up to 2 years in power save mode, making it effectively maintenance free. Now the weight of the watch is about 135 grams, the diameter of the watch is 45 millimeters, and the retail price begins at $1,600 in US currency. Now is the Seiko Astron GPS Solar for you? Well, if you're looking for a watch that does what this watch does, then look no further. The Seiko Astron GPS Solar watch is decidedly a luxurious timepiece that is able to combine high tech with exceptional materials for craftsmanship. This is a watch that sells itself, as they say. Its design has extremely broad appeal, and its unique technology will impress those that aren't even interested in watches like that. Now that you've seen the top 5 solar analog watches, you'll have no problem knowing exactly what you need to look for when it's time for you to shop for the best solar watch for yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable picking out your own watch, you can always use our suggestions to guide you to the right watch that's just for you. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. All I really care about is making sure I provide you with the valuable content that will help you out, so your feedback is greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're dropping content every single day, so I want to make sure that you get notified when our next video drops. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. And as always, continue to rock your G-Shock nonstop. Deuces!